Welcome back to the Blood Bear channel. In this video, we will be doing a book review on the first book in the Farseer Trilogy and the Realm of the Elderlings, Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb here. I will, for this specific series, I got the illustrated edition, and I will be doing, since this is like, there's the entire Realm of the Elderlings is what I think it's called, and then there's different like trilogies and stuff, so each trilogy will have its own playlist, and then there will be an overall playlist that'll be the entire Realm of the Elderlings as well to go along with this. So yeah, like always, there is going to be spoilers, so be wary of that, and if you haven't read it, then go read it. If you don't care that you haven't read it and you just want to watch this video, then you can also do that, because, you know, you got free will. So, anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and start this review. We start with the plot here, because where else would we start, right? I gave the plot an 8 out of 10 for this book. It took me a while to get into it a little bit. I think it was pretty average, I would say, I guess, for how long it takes to get into it, into books. Because I only really started enjoying it whenever Fitz became an apprentice to Shade. I don't know how you pronounce that guy's name. It's like Shade, but with a CH instead. So yeah, that's kind of when I started to really enjoy it, and then it started taking off from there, and I really liked the ending. I thought the ending was fantastic. So I gave plot an 8 out of 10. Because I thought the pacing and all that stuff was good. So, anyways, a little recap here. We start with Fitz, as a 5-year-old boy. Well, we start with him kind of telling us that he's older, and he's basically writing this about his past. And then we get into the he's 5 years old at the time, I think, is what it was, and that's when he first started being able to retain his memories, is at 5 years old, instead of like a normal baby. And then after that, he's brought to this, because one of the princes of the 6 duchies is there, so he's brought to him, and then he's like, damn, yeah, this looks exactly like my older brother, Chivalry. This is definitely his bastard kid. Hey, Burek, you run his stables, you're one of his men. Why don't you take care of this kid while he's here? And then, so eventually, that's what happens, and then eventually they all go back to Buckkeep, which is like the capital of the 6 duchies, where the royal family lives. By the time that Fitz gets there, though, Chivalry has already abdicated from the throne, and left to some backwater town with his wife, Patience. So Fitz never gets to he never meets his dad, and he can't remember his birth mom at all, so he's got no memory of either of his parents. And then while he's there, before the king and everybody like talks to him, he's just kind of living with Burek, and he helps him with the stable works, pretty much, until he also gets, during that, he helps deliver some puppies, I believe, and then he's kind of just goes around with the puppy that he befriended named Nosy. And then I think after that is whenever he started doing classes. He met with King in, like, I don't know really where, but the king gave him this pendant and said that he's going to be starting classes and has to move into the actual keep. So he does that. At first, he's hesitant on being separated with Burek. I might be getting this chronologically incorrect, so bear with me. But that is something that happened. Because he would also go down into the Buckkeep town, and then eventually him and his puppy had this very special bond. And eventually, Burek found out about what he was doing with this puppy, which he says is not a good thing, and that you should not, which is what Burek says to Fitz. He says, this is not a good thing, you should not be doing this, this is not something a human should be doing. And he tells us that Fitz has what is called the wit, which, from my understanding, it allows him to kind of speak or like bond with animals and telepathically be able to understand what they're feeling and kind of get also their senses, because that's happened multiple times in this book, where he's bonded with an animal and his sense of smell is like better because of it. I believe Burek warns about this because he says that like they become animals if you're not wary about it. So that's why it's like, you cannot do this. And then we also see that kind of be the case because Fitz, he tries to get Fitz to talk, and Fitz, he can't speak. Really, he's stopped talking like aloud, and instead has just been kind of like mind melding with Nosy, his puppy. So then Burek then scolds him, takes Nosy, locks Fitz in the room, and then the next, like, because we're seeing all this from Fitz's perspective, so he tries to bond with Nosy, and he gets nothing back. So, yeah, that's what happens there. He then goes on and does his training and whatnot. He's rightfully kind of sad after his puppy died, and eventually he has to go and learn all this stuff. So he learns the stable work and how to handle animals from Burek. He then also learns how to use a sword by a lady named Hodd, I think. I can't. There's a lot of characters' names. I don't remember her because eventually, like I don't know if he's still takes those lessons. Like eventually, like she just is not around anymore, or at least he's not taking those lessons anymore. So we never see her really. And then there's Chade, who is teaching him and training him how to be an assassin. And he also learns once winter comes, he learns to read and write by a traveling scribe by the name of Fedrin. So yeah. Also, an interesting thing about Fedrin is that he actually tells Fitz that he would make an excellent scribe, and he would love to have him as an apprentice. But he's already apprenticed to, obviously, Chade, who is training him to be an assassin. So then, eventually, stuff goes on, and Fitz gets older, and he gets sent out on his first main mission, where there are these two nobles. I do not remember their names. I probably should, but I don't. And one is angry because the other is not really manning the tower, so the other noble of that duchy is upset because these raiding ships, the red ship raids, are passing through, and they don't have any sort of warning until they're basically right on their shore. So they're upset about that, and then so it's Fitz's job to go and investigate this and try and discover if the other noble who's not manning the tower is doing it because he is treasonous, or if he's just being neglectful of said tower. And then, so through his investigations, he realizes that it's probably not that this guy is a traitor, but it's actually that he is using all of the wealth that he gets from his people and the taxes, and he's not really spending it wisely because he got a new wife who is young and easily impressed because she was not born into wealth. So he's spending all this money to buy her lavish gifts like necklaces and all the like that, all the stuff like that. And she doesn't really understand what her role in this is supposed to be. So then eventually he goes to the kitchens because he's like hungry at night because he's a growing boy, and runs into the Duchess of that place, the new Duchess, and her dog is choking like on a fish bone. So then he pulls it out and then kind of tells her, it's like, oh, I've seen these visions, and tells her that's like, basically tells her what her duty should be and how she will curry favor with the civilians and the nobles alike. And so he never gets to actually see what came of this, but he hears tales of it later, of how she got up and spoke eloquently and was very I don't know, she was good. She basically said what he told her to say, pretty much, and everything worked out. Meanwhile, he had to go tend to Lady Time, who is actually Chade in disguise. That's one of his personas, and his reason for being here was that he was basically her caretaker for the journey. So Chade then calls for him to come, Fitz to come to where he left her, and then informs him about this ransom note that the king received from the Out Islanders, because they had captured citizens from Forge Village, and they needed to go there immediately to investigate what was happening. And the ransom note was really strange to them because it said, hey, give us money or else we will release these hostages back into your land. And everyone was like confused, like, that doesn't sound right. It should be the other way around. It's like, give us money or we'll kill these hostages, right? So they end up not paying. Fitz and Chade get there too late to really do anything. By the time they get there, the citizens have already been released. And so we also learn that Fitz uses his wit, actually, he uses his ability to use the wit a lot, and that's how he is able to kind of tell what's going on around him, pretty much. And so whenever he sees these forged people, he gets they're called forged later because of what happened to these people, and they're named after him. So that's how I will be referring to them. So he sees these forged people, and he's like, they have no life to them. It's like they're already dead. And basically how these people act is if they were just feeding their base desires, and once those desires were fed, they did not care what happened at all. So if they were hungry, they ate. If they were thirsty, they drank. If they wanted something somebody else had, they took it. And it was basically just like that. So then they left, because they're like, oh, they've already returned. Fitz basically ran him and Chade away, because Chade can't use the wit and stuff, so he doesn't know that there's something wrong with these people. He just thinks that they're shaken up or something. So then they leave and return slowly back to Buckkeep, where a bunch of other stuff happens. So they return to that, and then Fitz goes to see Molly one time. This is basically the only thing that's important that happens. As he goes down to see Molly, he learns that his father, Chivalry, has passed away while he's returning to Buckkeep. And then, eventually, I think this is like whenever Chade isn't really talking to him. I don't know. Eventually, his stepmom, Lady Patience, arrives, and they get to know each other. a little bit. He interacted with her 3 times without knowing who she was, until eventually she introduced herself. And after learning that Fitz can't really, he's not really good at anything that she kind of wanted him to be good at, like music, poetry, and all this other stuff. I guess botany. He is pretty good at botany, but he knows botany because he knows how to make poisons and stuff, which is not the kind of knowledge that she wants him to be able to know. And the histories and stuff like that. So then she's upset, and then he's like, okay, her handmaiden, I think, of Lady Patience, who's kind of just always around, tells him hey, well, she's upset that she feels guilty that she was not here to raise you and that she kind of scorned you. So she's here now and she wants to make up for it. So maybe just keep trying to do these things, and then maybe that will make her happy. Just try to make her happy is basically what she says. And he's like, okay. And that lady gave him some musical instruments so he could practice. Because every time he got a handle on things, and he was starting to learn, she's like, okay, you're not good at this, let's change, maybe you're good at this. So he never really got time to practice and actually develop that skill. So then eventually he, also important to note, she did give him a dog, a puppy, and her handmaiden said that she's probably going to she's probably giving you gifts so that you will maybe like her more. But he hasn't had a puppy since Nosy, and then he starts bonding the same way with his new dog, who is named Smithy, the same way he did with Nosy. Obviously, Burek doesn't know about this because they live separately now, and so more stuff happens to where Patience then basically goes and demands to King Shrewd that Fitz be taught how to use the skill, which is another set of magic. God damn you cards. Shut up. I'm trying to film a video. My goodness. So he goes to learn the skill, and so I think the skill is it's the same thing as the wit. Maybe it isn't, I don't know, but it's with people instead, is what I think. I'm not sure. You will probably learn more in future books, which I've ordered the second one, but it says that it's temporarily out of stock, so I don't know when that's coming. At all. So anyways, back to what I was saying. King Shrewd basically relents and has Galen teach not only Fitz, but anybody who might be able to use the skill, because there's the red ship raids are getting worse. More and more people are getting forged, and they need what is called a coterie to help strengthen the royals' skills and be able to pass messages telepathically through to other duchies and whatnot through these people who can access that. He goes and gets taught by Galen. Galen is a horrible, horrible guy. He basically, he reprimands them. He's kind of trying to brainwash them to think that they are superior to everybody else, and to make it so that they fear him. So that he basically makes them stand out in the cold on one leg for however long he wants, and then if they quiver a little bit, he smacks them with his little thing, and then and then he also tells them, you're not allowed to talk with anyone. You have to eat the strict diet unless I say otherwise. You listen to me, you little bastards. Anyways, Galen also hates Fitz for being a bastard. So there's that. And then eventually, through that training, Fitz is getting very good at this, but he's also kind of being brainwashed by Galen, trying to prove himself more and more. And they eventually get into a fight while using the skill. and unfortunately Galen gets the better of him and does what is called misting, which we learn about later. Anyways, he basically almost kills Fitz. Fitz connects with his dog Smithy with the wit, I believe, which saves him from wanting to kill himself. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good right there. But also Galen beats the living crap out of him while he's down. So that happens, and then Burek finds out about it. And then Burek goes and Burek sets him up in his house, in his like room by the stables, and so Burek treats his broken ribs and all that stuff. And then he goes and fights Galen at what is called the Witness Stones, which is basically like, hey, you've committed a crime against me, let's fight about it at the Witness Stones so that the gods can see to who is just. And Burek beats the crap, well, he doesn't beat the crap out of Galen, he just like holds him up by his, grabs him by the throat and just kind of like holds him up. He's like, you will continue teaching Fitz. And he's like, okay, fine, jeez. And so Fitz is still able to be taught, but he's very depressed now. He thinks he's kind of worthless. He's unable to use the skill. He thinks, he's a failure. And so the fool comes down and talks to him. He's like, hey, I know you don't want to go and do this because you think you can't. And initially the fool was like, hey, don't do this, it's going to end badly for you. And then once it happens anyways, because Fitz doesn't heed his warnings, the fool then changes up. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, what I said was going to happen happened already, so you might as well just go back. And if you don't want to go back, it's like, hey, we're friends. If you yourself don't want to go back, at least go back for me, and to get this training over with. So then Fitz does. He still feels like he's failing, and he feels like he can't really get it until the trial comes up for who will be members of the coterie. And Galen, basically the trial is they get blindfolded and taken to somewhere out in a little ways away, right? And so they're supposed to then use the skill to be able to come back, basically. And I don't know how or whatever. But where Galen decides to send Fitz is north of Forge Village. So he not only has to deal with... So he gets placed north of Forge Village, which is like a little ways away. But he then has to make his way back to Buckkeep through Forge Village. And initially he kind of sits there and he's waiting for... he gets to know his surroundings, and he learns that he's kind of north of Forge Village. But then he still decides, like, okay, I need to wait for Galen to contact me with the skill so that I can pass this trial. And then he, using the wit during, like, because he's really tired, and so he goes to sleep eventually. And he kind of dreams, and during that dream, he uses the wit to see through Smithy's eyes, and Smithy is living with Burek at the time. So Burek is kind of like drunkenly walking up the stairs to his room, and when he's attacked, and then Smithy fights back against this person that's attacking Burek, and Burek gets like stabbed somewhere, and it falls down the stairs, and Smithy fends off the intruder or whoever this is, right? And is able to make him flee with the cost of Smithy's life, of course. So this makes Fitz like, okay, I can't wait anymore, I just need to go. And so he starts rushing back to try to get back to Buckkeep as fast as he possibly can, and he does. He has to stop initially before he gets to Forge Village because there are forged bandits in his way, so then he kind of knocks him over and then jumps over them and then runs past him, getting rid of his cloak that he was wearing because that's what the forged wanted. So then they start fighting over it. And then he gets into the village, which is obviously abandoned, and of course, as he's walking down the road, here comes one of the red ship raiders' ships pulling into the dock there. So he hides and then sees that these red ship raiders are using this abandoned village as well. But he still thinks like, oh, I can't stay here. I really need to get going. So he's able to kind of sneak away and find, again, those same forged villagers on the other side of the village now. Because he was waiting there for a while, probably enough time for them to kind of come around the village without alerting the red ship raiders. So then he has to deal with them again, and this time he does end up killing them in self-defense, obviously, but still he kills them. And then he continues on his way until he gets all the way to Buckkeep. And once he gets back to Buckkeep, that's when he learns that everyone kind of thought he was dead. Everyone. He was dead. They're like, oh my god, you're still alive? Jeez. Come on in. And so he does, and he immediately goes to go see Burek. And Burek straight up asks him, because I think he could tell, if he used the wit to form a bond with Smithy. Fitz confesses to this. He's like, yeah, I did. And Burek's like, okay, I've warned you about this already. I thought you were listening to me. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. And so at this point, he feels like he's a failure. He's been abandoned by everyone because Shade isn't contacting him. Lady Patience isn't contacting him. I think they got into a fight at some point, but I can't really remember what happened. And then now Burek won't talk to him anymore, and so then he goes to go see Molly. Well, Shade and Patience are just not summoning him. It's not that because I don't think that they wouldn't talk to him if he came to them, but he's not going to them, so they're not going to talk to him. So then he then goes to Molly, and he sees her exiting her candle shop with a guy that he's seen previously around there. Clearly, they're in a romantic relationship, and so he kind of just like stands aside, he's kind of like in an alley, like he's not to where he would, I guess, be easily noticeable, but they just walk by, don't even notice him, so this makes him feel even more sad and depressed. So then he goes back up, and he just buries himself in drink for a while, until eventually Shade summons him, and he's like, hey, stop being an idiot. You're going to, every day, he actually says, I see Galen's training has done nothing for your muscle growth. And he's like, I guess. And so basically, Shade tasks Fitz with basically bringing Verity his food and all that stuff and taking care of him, because Verity is using the skill to fend off Redship Raiders by using that same like misting thing that I said. He basically enters their mind and convinces them that they have already charted a course when they haven't, or that they've passed an island that they've already reached their destination before they have, or that a storm isn't coming when one is, and all that type of stuff. So eventually, they get to talking at one point, where Fitz then, like, Verity is talking to Fitz. He's like, no, because I think Fitz offered him his strength, not knowing what he was doing, because he never learned that. And Verity took it and then felt really bad about it. I don't know if that's like the same. Like, I might be getting this out of order, like I said. Anyways, this is also when Verity tells him that Galen had done a misting on him, which basically made Fitz realize, like, not believe that he could use the skill, and made him think that he's a failure and that he should die. Is basically what Galen Smithing did. So yeah, that happens. So, and he's starting to realize that. And then later, we get to where Fitz is given another mission by King Shrewd. He is tasked with traveling to the Mountain Kingdom, where Regal is, which is the third prince of the 6 duchies. Verity is the second. Chivalry was the first, but he abdicated. So now Verity is the king in waiting. So he's tasked to traveling to the Mountain Kingdom, where Regal is trying to get the princess there to marry Verity. And so King Shrewd tasks Fitz with killing Prince Rurisk of that kingdom. So, and Regal informed the king that Rurisk was in very poor health, that he did not really desire to unite the 2 kingdoms, so the 6 duchies and the Mountain Kingdom. So once he gets to their capital, Jampe, I don't know how you pronounce that, Princess Ketrican, who is the bride-to-be of Prince Verity, they talk, and he talks with Rurisk. Rurisk seems in good health, and as they're talking, Fitz learns that it's actually kind of the opposite of what Regal said. Not only is he in good health, but he also seems to be a good and honest person, and he actually wants the 2 peoples to be united. So, I don't know what's going on there. So then him and Ketrican kind of go off, and they're talking. He's trying to, convey good words of Verity to Ketrican, and but Ketrican also tells him, well, she's kind of blushing at what Fitz is telling her about Verity, because Regal has not been doing a very good job of, hyping up his brother to this princess. But luckily Fitz does. Regal also, though, had told drunkenly to Ketrican that Fitz, the bastard son, and Lady Time are the royal poisoners, and if you see them here, they're probably here to kill somebody. So, of course, this led to Fitz being poisoned because they know that he's a poisoner, that he's an assassin, so clearly they're going to try to kill the assassin so that they don't lose any of their people. I think it's Ketrican that actually does the whole thing, because he thinks it was like this honey cake or whatever that he ate when he first came in, but it was actually something else that I think Ketrican gave to him or something. Anyways, he realizes this, goes back to his room, eats some sort of like herb that the fool had given him, and because the fool gave him this pouch of herbs and a warning. Fitz did not heed said warning, got poisoned, and so he ate it. This herb was supposed to loosen one's bowels, so give him lots of diarrhea, and it did. And then Fitz ended up falling asleep, and then in the morning, Rurisk and Ketrican were both there. Rurisk had the antidote and was like, "Hey, drink this so you don't die of poison." And later that night, Fitz was called in to report to his Prince Regal. And basically Regal is like, "Oh yes, you're an assassin, right? Go hurry up and do your job. Kill him already." Seemingly kind of oblivious to the nuance that this and the stealth that this would take. So then Fitz tries to go talk to August, who is one of the coterie who is here, who Verity is supposed to see through the eyes of, so that he can see his bride and hear her wedding vows, basically. He wants to skill to Prince Verity or to King Shrewd, tell him the information about Rurisk and try to get new orders instead of listening to Regal. And then basically what August does. I don't think he actually is able to skill to them, so he just goes like, yes, I've done it. He says, listen to Regal. And he's like, really? Fitz is like, really? That doesn't sound right. But he does. He listens to him. Also, another thing that Fitz learns is because he's walking and talking with Rurisk at some point, and Rurisk brings him to his like little kennel to see some of the dogs, and lo and behold, in said kennel is an old nosy, still alive, apparently given to Rurisk by Burek. So, dog not dead. Let's go. We thought we killed 2 dogs in this thing. Nope, only the one. So he then goes and talks to Burek and is like, "Hey, I thought for the longest time I thought you killed Nosy, but he's still alive here." And then Burek's like, "You thought I killed him? You thought I killed him? Why would you think that?" It's like, I mean, I guess I understand why you acted the way you did when you were a kid now. Jeez. And then Burek also decides, like, okay, I understand, I understand we have our misunderstandings, but like, no, I still can't let you back to the stables. It's still too dangerous. You're still gonna, unless you tell me that you will not wit anymore, you can't come to the stables. And he's like, I know that you'll keep your word because you always have. So unless you can do that, I'm not letting you back into the stables. So, and then again, that night, again, Fitz is called back into Regal's room. Well, he's not called back. He was told previously that he should go report. And in said room, it's filled with like this smoke that makes you more happy and whatnot. And in Regal's room, he's given this powder type of poison that's Regal's valet gives to Fitz. And Fitz is like, Severance says that, who is the valet, tells Fitz that it is a slow acting poison and that it won't happen until this is well behind us. At first, Fitz refuses. He's like, no, I don't take orders from you. I take if Regal is going to give me orders, he needs to do it himself. And they're basically like, you will do this, bastard, or Regal will have you executed. And so then Fitz leaves, clearly, suspicious of this action. So then he kind of stays around and tries to eavesdrop on what's happening. And so later, once Fitz is hidden, he sees Cod, who is Burek's stable boy, and he's kind of who Burek was training to be the new stable master before Fitz got there. So Cod enters Regal's chamber, and then he hears some of their plotting. So then Fitz immediately goes down, and he goes straight to Ketrigan's room, and he's like, hey, if I poison your brother, will you still will you still go through with the wedding? And she's like, you are not going to kill my brother, you son of a bitch, first off. And yes, because even if my brother does die, we still need this to benefit us. So we will still... and she's already previously pledged to the people of the Six Duchies. So she's kind of like, yes, I would, because I've already promised that I would. So I'm already technically promised to the people of the Six Duchies. So if I don't go through with the wedding, then it's not going to benefit my people. It's only going to benefit yours. And then after that, he's like, okay. And then immediately goes to Rurisk's room, pours out some wine. I don't know if he already had one cup full of wine or not. And then he sets one in front of Rurisk, and then puts the poison in the cup, stirs it, and then he's like, I am here to poison you. They said that this was a slow-acting poison. It is not. It is fast-acting. You will die pretty much immediately. And so then they have their talk. Kettrican comes in, and then he's like, he's trying to poison you, brother. And he's like, I know. And so him and Rurisk are talking. And then Fitz kind of takes a sip of his wine, puts it back, and then Rurisk takes it up and starts drinking it as well from the non-poisoned glass. And then it turns out later that we discover both glasses were actually poisoned. Fitz only ingested a little bit. He still ingested it, but he only took in a little bit. So he still gets affected by it, just not, maybe not to the point where he would die. And then basically, as soon as the Prince Rurisk is dying, Cod comes barging in. He's like, Princess, he's trying to poison you. Stay away from the bastard. And then tackles Fitz down onto the ground. And that happens. At first, Kettrican thinks that, Rurisk is faking it because obviously they're having a civil conversation. And Fitz is telling him the symptoms, and he's doing the symptoms. Fitz says the symptoms, and then Prince Rurisk starts doing the symptoms. So it's pretty much it's hey, stop acting out this stuff. And then she realizes that he was actually poisoned, and she's like, oh my god. And then obviously she runs to her brother. And then as Cod tackled him, Fitz smells his breath, Cod's breath, and is able to recognize it as the person who attacked Burek on the stairs. So Fitz takes out a poison dagger that he has, stabs it into Cod, and then kills him. So Cod is now dead. And then he's captured and thrown into a prison, basically, where he then, goes to sleep. His body's aching, so he goes to sleep and kind of dream skills, I guess, this time. He sees Galen plotting with I don't know who else to kill, that he's going to no, we don't need to kill him today. We will kill him tomorrow. There'll be plenty of time to kill Verity tomorrow. So they're planning to kill Verity. So then that means that Regal will be king, or the king in waiting, and Princess Kettrican, her what she's swearing is to marry the king in waiting. All right. So if Verity dies, that doesn't mean that means that she'll then be technically promised to Regal. And also we see a conversation between Galen and Regal, where Regal basically says, or Galen says, well, you only need her around until she gives you an heir, and then we can get rid of her too, is basically what he says. So anyways, Burek and Nosy actually come to visit and break out, I guess, Fitz, and then they run in the hallway. They run into Jean-Qui, who is the Mountain King's sister, and who Fitz thinks she's kind of like what Chade is to King Shrewd, minus the assassination stuff. So basically, she knows everything that's going on in the castle, pretty much. The king's name is King Eod. I don't know. That might be how you pronounce it. I don't know. Fantasy names are weird, man. Anyways, so Jean-Qui tells him that Kettrican has evoked her right to forgive kin for harming other kin, and that he is now resolved of all crimes here in Jampe, or whatever. And so then they all go to Fitz's room, where then August arrives, complains about, the bastard killing Prince Rurisk and ruining everything, and then also says, hey, Regal summoned you to the hot springs, go down there. So then Fitz and Burek go down there after Jean-Qui leaves, and to talk to Regal. And so they get there, then one of the Chiruta, which are the people of the Mountain Kingdom, smashes Burek right on the head, and then drags him out of the room because he's upset that Rurisk was poisoned, so he's helping Regal, not knowing that Regal was the one who was behind all of this, pretty much. I mean, Fitz might have poisoned him. I don't think it would have come to that, if I'm being honest. So then, leaving the weakened Fitz from the poisoned alone with Regal, Regal then throws Fitz into the bath, causing him to start drowning. And then leaves for the wedding, basically, the wedding ceremony. So then, Fitz, in his last moments of life, tries really hard to get somehow to Verity to warn him. And he does. He uses the skill. He gets to Verity just as Galen is starting to put his hand on his shoulder and start sucking the strength from Verity. So then Fitz then gives his strength to Verity, which is able to give him just enough power to completely drain Galen, completely, to where Galen just dies because he has nothing left. And then very powerfully, in like a booming voice, he sends a message into August's head about how, basically warning Regal that he knows, hey, I know Galen was a bastard son of your mother, the previous queen, and I know what you were up to, so you better fucking stop it. And through this message, August passes out. He also reaches into Ketrikin's mind and promises her that he knew nothing about this poisoning at all, and that he hopes to see her soon. And then the last thing Fitz remembers is waking up in the infirmary there in Jampé with Burek. And then once they healed, they return to the Buckkeep, pretty much. And that's pretty much the whole plot there. Okay, that was a lot. I need to learn how to do shorter recaps, because that was just 46 minutes, basically, of me recapping a book. But a lot happened, okay? A lot happened, and it was all kind of important, what I said. Maybe not all of it, but that's fine. I need to learn how to get better at this. Anyways, characters. Characters, I gave a 9 out of 10. I loved the characters. We really only see through Fitz's perspective, so all the characters are basically how we see them through his eyes and how their relationship is. And that's basically, we don't see other characters' internal thoughts. So Fitz is our main character, 100%. So he's definitely not dead. There's no way he could die, right? At least until the final book, maybe. Maybe. But probably not, because this is narrated by an older Fitz. So he's definitely alive. We know that. So for his character, he's kind of weird in the way that he kind of seems to me like he's searching for approval or to be useful to people, while also liking to have freedom to do things the way he wants to do. Like with Shade and King Shroud, he wants to be useful to them, but he also likes that they let him be do kind of how he wants to do it, do things the way he wants to do it. He can be discreet if he wants, he chooses the methods or whether or not that this person needs to die and all of that stuff. He basically has free reign. So he likes that, which I think is kind of weird. And then he's also a very lonely person. And we see this ever since Nosy dies. He becomes a lot more lonely. He has nobody in his life, or at least that's how he feels. And I think that's partially because of his use of the wit. Since he's been really young, he's connected with Nosy, and where they can just know what each other's thinking constantly. And then once that's taken away, he doesn't know how to really connect with people. So he can't hear what's going on in people's heads. He can't tell what they're feeling, really. So he's just kind of lost, and he feels like he's not connected to anyone. So, which makes him feel lonely, a lot of the time. And then I also think that there are just, he doesn't realize that he's actually got people. So he doesn't realize that he can go to, Shade, he can go to Verity, he can go to Lady Patience, all of which will be probably fairly happy to talk to him and listen to whatever it is he's going through. But I also think because of his position, he feels like he has to first be summoned to be in their presence. Because all these people are technically well, Shade only, like, he only talks to Shade when he's summoned. Verity is of higher station. He's only ever talked to him once Verity has talked to him first, pretty much. And the same with Lady Patience. He's only ever gone to her when she summoned him. So I think he feels like it would be weird or wrong if he were to impose upon them and want to talk to them instead of him being summoned by them. You know, that's mainly what I think his issue is. Anyways, Burek is definitely, probably, I would say, the most like a father figure to Fitz. He basically raises him. He teaches him how to work the stables and all that. He disciplines him whenever Fitz does something wrong, like whenever he was using the wit. The only time I think that this kind of changes, or that he didn't really act like a dad, is whenever he kind of shoves Fitz aside and doesn't really think about, like, he basically kicks him out of the house. Is, I guess, basically what happens, because he learned that he was still using the wit, even though he told him not to. So I think that might be what's wrong, because he explained to Fitz why using the wit was wrong whenever he was like 7 years old, and then they never really talk about it ever again. Because, I mean, Fitz thinks that he killed Nosy, so he thinks, like, if I talk about this, he will kill me too, or that I will be punished and reprimanded if I just want to talk about this. And so I don't think Fitz has ever really understood why the wit is such a bad thing, and I still don't think he really does. But, I mean, maybe he'll learn in the future. Maybe we will learn more about it. Maybe we'll meet somebody else who can use it, who is more given into those animalistic urges. I don't know. We'll see. And then we get to Lady Patience. She is trying to be a motherly figure for Fitz, I think, because she felt guilty about not being there to raise him and also kind of taking away his father from him. So he doesn't really build that much of a relationship with her. She's not in it a lot of the time. I hope in the other two books that she will be in it more, unless she dies, of course. But I would like to see their relationship as, like, kind of like mother and son grow, because I think Fitz has had a distinct lack of parents in his life, so it would be nice for him to have one. And I think he could also learn quite a few things from Patience. Like, I mean, I think from Verity, maybe not Verity, there's not really anybody to teach him how to be, like, a proper noble. Shade is honestly probably the most qualified for that. But Patience can teach him a lot about plants and painting and music and like the histories and all that stuff. So there's that. Then we get to Verity, Fitz's uncle. Probably Fitz's favorite member of the noble family, the royal family. I think Verity has always viewed Fitz as a family member, and the only like, he doesn't really talk to him because he got really busy once Chivalry abdicated, and obviously he can't tell. He can't really talk to him because he's busy with dealing with red ships and other nobles and all that stuff. So Verity doesn't really get to talk to him very often, and when he does, it's very brief, I would say. I mean, Verity is basically a soldier. He was basically going to be the head of the army, Chivalry was king. And then Chivalry and Regal are both fairly good at politicking, whereas Verity is not. Another thing, downside to, I guess, Verity is that apparently he did not know that Fitz was not told a lot of these things, so he just never realized that he should tell him this, because he never knew that Fitz didn't already know. Like, his name is Fitz Chivalry. That is his actual name, and he did not know it. So there's that. And then there's Chade. Chade is the, obviously, assassin. He's the assassin for King Shrewd. He's very loyal. He's loyal to a fault. And he is, I would say, Fitz's main mentor. He is the one I think Fitz looks up to probably the most, and the one who Fitz relies on the most. And then there was that time where Jade got really angry at Fitz because he refused to steal something from the king's chambers. Even though the king had ordered it, Fitz didn't really know that the king had ordered it, so he refused to do it because he felt like it was betraying the king. And so then they did not, like, Jade did not summon him at all for like a long time. And I think this was a time where he like Nosy had been taken away. He was starting to kind of get over it with being able to be around Jade and have somebody like that. So then he felt very lonely and stuff again. All right, and that's basically Jade. They got better, obviously, and he's still a mentor figure. I think he will be for a little while longer. He might die in the next book. So there is that, because I know he's fairly old from what I understand, and he also just might die. Like, he might be killed. I don't know. We'll see in the next book, I suppose. All right. The Fool. The Fool is very interesting. Fitz is Fitz's friend, or they become friends later because Fitz likes the weird way he talks. The Fool is he gives prophecies in a roundabout kind of way, or in like riddles that can help Fitz if he's able to figure them out, which so far he hasn't figured out any of them. He's kind of lucked into one of them and then ignored the other ones or the other warnings that the Fool has given him. So yeah, I'm not sure what his ability is. Is it an aspect of the wit or maybe the skill? I don't know. It could be that he's just talking to the elderlings with the skill, because we did learn about that. I'm not sure. I don't know. And then that's basically all we know about him. He's also not very active in the book. We see him like 4-5 times maybe. Anyways, Molly definitely Fits his first friend, probably, and crush. As a kid, she was very tomboyish. She has an abusive, alcoholic father. Later, she became more feminine and was running her candle shop, her family's candle shop. And they were, like, Fitz was basically able to go to her and talk, and then this would help clear his thoughts on things and make him not feel so alone, like he usually does. But then, towards the end of the book, like whenever he was at his lowest moment, she got together with that guy. Boom. Fitz all by himself. No more friends, Fitz. So he just let them walk away, and then later she actually moved to a village after her father died. So her father died. Apparently he had a lot of debts, but before the debt collectors could basically go to her and be like, hey, your dad died, now you owe us all this money, now you're the one in debt. She basically was just like, nope, I'm out of here, out of town, for another village. And she might get forged in the next book. So we will see. So yeah, I think, like, because there's this one scene, like, if it wasn't for this, like, one scene where he's saying that she's too good for a noble, I would say that she kind of views him more as like a little brother. But then I think that scene changes things to make it more like, no, she does view him as a romantic interest. And maybe it's just that, he was, like, very inconsistent with his visits, because he had to go to places. Sometimes he was too busy with his training, so then he couldn't go see her. I don't know, but eventually she did move on and started dating that one guy that I don't remember his name. His name was mentioned once, I think, or once or twice, and that's all I know about that guy. Well, we know that he's like a deckhand as well. All right, another character that I would like to mention is Galen. He is the skill master for teaching the skill. Apparently, he was not actually very good at it, and he has low aptitude, and his teaching style sucks because he He talked to the coterie, and the coterie is kind of useless because they can only receive the skill, I think, unless there is already connection between somebody who is skilling. And I also think that they can't do certain aspects with it. So like, I don't think that they can do misting or really understand how the skill works. So there's that. Galen is also the bastard son of King Shrewd's second wife, who is also Regal's mother. And like Regal, Galen thinks that he is smarter and better and basically overall just real important guy. And then he plotted with Regal to try and overthrow Verity. And their plan was to basically kill off the royal family. So then Regal is the new king, and then they were going to settle in Jampe, I think, base their kingdom there. So then they would have more of an inland kingdom, and then they were going to not care about the coastal duchies. So then that the red ships, if they came, they would have to bring their fight onto land. I think that's what their plan was, which seems like a horrible plan, to be completely honest. It's like, why would you give up so much of your territory to these people who can turn other people into madmen, right? That does not sound like a good idea. But I mean, most of their fighting they're like a naval force, so maybe they would be less successful on land. I don't know. We would not know unless it happened. Anyways, last character I'm going to talk about. I'm not talking about any of like the people from the Mountain Kingdom or anything like that, because they really show up just at the end, and that's basically it. Regal. He's the third prince of the Six Duchies. He is now second in line to the throne because Chivalry abdicated. And he has always hated Fitz since, like, the conception of him, basically. Since, like, he was first introduced, he's always hated Fitz. And I think he hates him because of his succession type thing. Because if Chivalry decided not to abdicate from the throne and accepted Fitz as his son, then Fitz, after Chivalry, would have become king. So I think that's why that happened. Why Regal hates him so much, hates Fitz. But I also think that Regal feels very slighted from just the beginning because his mother was the queen. But still, and then he was her son, obviously. He was like her first legitimate born son, unlike Galen. So he thinks that he should be king because he is technically the firstborn of this new queen who is his mom. So I think he thinks that he should have the throne, basically. Anyways, he's not a good dude, and he's not going to be a good dude, and he's probably going to die in one of these future books, which would be great. Alright, that was it for characters. World building. I gave world building an 8 out of 10. I think the world building was great. We learned quite a lot of stuff, as we should. Like, a lot about mainly Buckkeep and how they operate things. And the Six Duchies. We learned a little bit about them, about the other duchies. I'm sure we'll see more of them. We learned a little bit about the Out Islanders and their red ship raids. We learned a little bit about the Mountain Kingdom and how they kind of operate. Because they operate with, like, the king is the servant of the people, basically. So he needs to do whatever he can that will bring benefit to his people. We also learn a decent amount of how the magic in this world works with the skill and the wit. I'm still completely unsure if they're two distinct different things or not, because we have never really had that clarification. They could just be the same thing. It's just that one is used to do that to animals, and one is used to do that to humans. That could be the only distinction. I do not know. So there's that. We also learned about the Witness Stones. Those are pretty cool. You go to the Witness Stones and you fight, and you're basically the gods are basically like the gods are watching. We also learned about the Elderlings, which are supposed to be like the godlike entities, I guess, of the realm, and that you can use, if you're proficient enough with the skill or you're powerful enough with the skill, you can use the skill to directly talk to the elderlings, basically, which is cool. And I think we will eventually see that with Fitz, or maybe the fool is the one who was talking directly to the elderlings and getting all this information, because he wants to keep Fitz alive. I think it's literally stated in this that he wants Fitz alive because with Fitz there are many possibilities. So the longer he keeps Fitz alive, the more options the fool will have to kind of guide things down the right path. So there's that. Emotional impact, I gave a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. There are quite a few surprises. Like with Burek, I completely thought he killed Nosy. I thought that dog was so dead, which completely changes your character whenever you learn that Nosy is actually still alive, because you're probably like, oh my god, you killed this puppy just because Fitz bonded with this puppy? Oh my god, you're a horrible person. How dare you kill my little puppy? But no, he did not kill said puppy. He gave said puppy away. And he also literally says to Fitz, you think I would kill this dog for something that you did wrong? No. I'm not that mean. So yeah, I thought that was kind of quite the surprise there. The introduction to Patience was also pretty good. I thought, I liked it because, he was kind of making a fool of himself to basically his royal stepmom, which was kind of funny. But her introduction was also kind of spoiled because I think, the chapter title of Patience kind of lets you know, it's like, hey, yeah, we're talking about Patience, Lady Patience, the stepmom to Fitz. So there's that. Also, the final scene I really liked because basically Fitz was ready to sacrifice himself for Verity. Very nice, very noble, very good plot point right there. Also, I definitely at first also thought that Rurisk and Fitz were just going to fake Rurisk being poisoned, and then Fitz was going to be put in prison, and then while the execution was going to be going on, then Rurisk was going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not actually dead. It was that guy. It was that guy. That guy tried to kill me. But I understand why he didn't, because, yeah, then Fitz, as an assassin, would have been viewed as a traitor to the king, because he didn't do this. He didn't poison him, right? And he, in fact, instead told him that he was going to be poisoned and then didn't do it. So, kind of makes sense. So now Fitz is not a traitor, and he can still live on, which is good. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for emotional impact. Structure, I gave 9 out of 10. It's kind of hard to mess up structure. I thought the pacing was good. I really like that there's chapter titles. I know it kind of said that it was kind of a spoiler, but there's only one perspective in this book, so you don't really need to do character names for the chapters. So, and I like having chapter titles. I don't think enough books have chapter titles, because it's just a brief little thing. It's like, hey, this is kind of what's going to happen in the chapter. Is kind of what they let you know, right? So I think it's nice. Another thing that I personally liked, and this doesn't really have to do with structure, but it is a trope. So is that it's the character that's in the book is actually writing, telling his own story years later, afterward, by writing it down. And it's Fitz is the one who wrote Assassin's Apprentice, not Robin Hobb, basically. I know there's quite a few people that don't like that trope. I think it's done very well here, and I think it's very good. So I think it works. Another thing, yeah, structure-wise, very chronological. It goes through. We see the years pass by, and I think it ends pretty nicely there. So yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and conclude here. The final score comes out to a 4.1 out of 5 stars. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. If you liked, then please leave a like and subscribe, as that would help my channel quite nicely. Quite nicely, it would help my channel. And yeah, like always, I don't know, like always, but I will see you in the next one. So bye bye.